we're gathered again here to rock out another episode of the Talk About It podcast. I'm Lauren Fulmer.
I'm Victor Dantas.
And today we got another guest lined up. We have Matt Greenlief with Cedar Creek Kennels. Matt, how are you?
I'm good. How are you guys?
Thank you for coming, man.
You're welcome. The weather's starting to turn. We're getting some spring, summer, sunshine. I'm ready for sunburns.
Me too. I don't like it cold.
No, not at all. Matt, talk about yourself a little bit. Tell us, who's Matt Greenlief?
I've been born and raised in Monmouth in the Warren County area. Left for a little bit, went and did some schooling, and then came back and got my first job back here as a deputy sheriff with Warren County back in 2006.
Nice. How long were you in law enforcement? I know you just retired here within the last couple year or two, but
from 2006 until 2022.
Okay.
So I started in June of 06 and then retired in May of 22.
Did you go to college for law enforcement?
No, not at all. The exact opposite.
You went in for criminal?
Equestrian science, actually.
Okay.
So I went to Blackhawk College East Campus outside of Kewanee, between Kewanee and Galva, and went through their horse program and loved it, and went and worked for a trainer out in Indiana for about a year, and just made some decisions with my life on retirement, insurance, starting a family. So came back here and started working at the sheriff's office.
Let's talk equestrian science for a second.
Okay.
Did you grow up liking horses, or did you have horses? What on earth got you into wanting to deal with horses?
We had some horses. We had a close family friend that I worked a lot with as a young teenager, baling hay, mowing, pulling weeds, and he had horses as well, and he kind of taught us how to ride. And then it just I didn't know what I was going to do after graduating high school, worked for a few farms around the area, and then he's like, hey, you should check this school out. It's a place for you. So went up, checked it out, fell in love with it, and from 2002 to 2004, I was at school there, and then rode professionally when I mean professionally, it was just working for a guy, but that's how I made my living.
Sure. But doing what? Riding barrel racing?
Cutting horses.
Okay.
If you're familiar with that.
Cutting horses?
Cutting horses, where they have the cattle.
Okay.
And you sort one off and you keep that from the herd.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. So cutting them off, I mean, not like knife cut.
No,
But cutting them off. I seen it in like Yellowstone.
Yeah, that's exactly. That's
stuff,
it. Yep.
Okay.
That's it.
So where all were you traveling to do that? Or
I stayed at his place in Indiana. So he had a large operation at the time. I think we had the 50-some horses that we rode every day.
Wow.
So it was us preparing 2-year-olds, 3-year-olds, and the show horses to get them ready for him to leave that weekend to go show.
Right. And then would he eventually sell those horses? Was that
he had it pretty good. So all the horses there weren't owned by him; they were owned by other people that paid him to train and show.
Right. Have you ridden horses before?
No.
You've never been on the horse?
No.
Never.
That's an experience, man.
I think I've tried when I was little, but it's hard.
Yeah.
It's not easy to ride a horse in the beginning, right?
Well, no, and it'll hurt, especially if you don't know what you're doing.
You got to use your balance.
Yeah,
you got to
balance
it
around.
Yeah.
My father had horses growing up, and now he still has two, but they're glorified pets. I mean, they don't get ridden; they just get treated like kings.
Yeah.
Are horses easy to train?
They're a lot like dogs.
Yeah. Which one is easier? Which one is smarter? Does it make sense to ask that?
Yeah, that's you're splitting hairs there. Yeah.
Because they're both really smart animals.
They're intelligent. Yeah.
Do you agree that dogs are the smartest animals, or no?
The smartest ones I work with. Yeah. So, I mean, and I don't even think we've really tapped into the full potential of what a dog can actually do.
Well, you see some of the dogs that help, disabled. I mean, blind, a seeing eye dog. I've always wondered, how does that dog have even a clue to like coming up to a stoplight? We should stop here. Hold on.
Yeah.
It's a dog. How does he? but they're highly, highly intelligent and able to be trained. And we'll get into this with you. I mean, you're training dogs, so that'll. I can't wait to even get into that. You went from training horses, and then to law enforcement, and then now training dogs, which is just an incredible, fun journey too. I'm sure
It's been a wild one.
How did law enforcement start? Did you want to be a deputy? Is it a family thing?
Yeah, my whole family's either been in the military or in law enforcement. And I grew up hanging out at the Monmouth Fire Department as a kid. My dad was on the volunteer program that they had here in town. And growing up here in town, my neighbor was actually the fire chief for a while. And I just always, you just had that calling, I guess. I don't mean to sound cliche or anything, but that want to help people.
Mm-hmm.
And so through college, I would come back and I joined the auxiliary here for the Monmouth Police Department and the Warren County Sheriff's Office. So I was on the auxiliary for 2 years prior to actually getting hired full time with the Sheriff's Office.
Okay.
Were you still messing with horses during that period of
Yes.
time?
Yes.
All right. So what happened? What happened with horses, or was there anything that necessarily happened? But they were just like, I'm gonna seek a different path.
Nothing really happened other than I was just looking to set myself up for the future. As you know, there's no insurance, no retirement,
right,
anything like that, and I guess I had the forethought to kind of look into, I need to grow up a little bit and kind of look out for my family and establish myself.
Well, there's very few jobs. You mentioned earlier in the conversation, you start looking at, let's grow up here, but also family. Benefits are important.
Correct.
Compensation is important.
Correct.
So law enforcement does offer pretty decent compensation, but then the benefits as well. If you can get put in your years and get vested, I mean, a lot of folks retire very well from law enforcement.
Yes.
So I could see where that appealed.
Yes, and it was a great back in the early 2000s. It was a great job to have. Mm-hmm. Everybody loved you. Didn't matter where you were from or who you were. Law enforcement. It was an easy profession. It was a hard profession to get into. Back then, I mean, we were testing with, and guys will tell you stories. We were testing. There might be one or two positions open at a police department or a sheriff's office, and you were testing with 50, 60, 100, right, depending on where you went, 300 other people.
Who most likely had a college degree, military background, very well solid candidates for a position too.
And now that is flipped. It's reversed.
Right.
Now you have 300 positions for one or two applicants.
Why do you think that happened?
It started 2012, 2013, the negative press, media really wasn't a big help for law enforcement. They kind of demonized everybody collectively, which made it tougher for everybody because every police officer I knew, no matter where, small town, big cities for the most part, you were doing it for a reason because you wanted to help people, and it made it tough because now, everybody's got a cell phone and does live videos, and you only see that one. You only see that one point of it. You don't see the totality of the whole circumstance, what led up to it, or anything like that. And then people just start jumping to conclusions, and they want that notoriety for some reason because I post this video.
Oh yeah, that gets you clout just as good as being involved.
And so, it's just it's sad because I still have buddies that are working.
Yeah.
And we work with law enforcement every day now, and it's I hate to see them go through that. I hate to see them. When I left last year, we had we lost a local police officer last year from Knox County, and just the looks on his buddy's face it destroyed you.
Right.
You know.
Well, I've said it about that time frame, 2013, and especially into current with social media. So much of it, you almost are damned if you do, you're damned if you don't, and even more in law enforcement. I truly do believe that. I just find it, like you said, a short snippet of a situation is what gets shown. So it's really easy to make speculations on what happened, or what the one I love is what I would have done. You know,
I would have done.
Yeah,
I would have done.
I would have done it. It's easy to say that from the couch.
Yeah.
First of all, but almost in anything, even outside of law enforcement, even this podcast. I mean, we'll get to people who make a comment or something. You know, we're just out here trying to have fun and be positive. But you're always going to have something. So it's just kind of one of those things that you got to take the good.
You don't feed
bad.
into it. That's what I tell everybody. You don't feed into it. You just gotta.
Yeah.
But
so. From law enforcement, though, you saw an opportunity to transition to the Cedar Creek Kennels.
Yes.
So, what is Cedar Creek Kennels?
So Cedar Creek Kennels actually started as a pet boarding facility and pet training facility. We purchased it back at the end of August of 2019, the beginning of September 2019. It was an established business that had been in business for 30 plus years. Oh. And we were fortunate enough to be able to purchase the property, the kennel and the house. And man, we hit the ground running. It was fun. We were boarding. We had more boarding dogs. We were training pet dogs. We were making money. We were loving life. I was still working 2 jobs, and then COVID hit, and we went from 100 miles an hour to negative 30. Overnight because nobody's traveling.
True.
There's no vacations going on. There's no sports events going on. The kids are not in school. Nothing. There's no dance recitals. There's no swim meets. Nothing.
Yeah.
So nobody's doing anything. And we were, I made the joke. We went down to see my brother in Kansas City in March, right as it started happening. And I was like, they're probably going to shut the bridges down and not let us come back through.
Right.
We were pretty close to that. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And then I never thought I'd see it where you were just, there's nothing.
Crickets. Yeah.
Yeah. Not even crickets.
Start making a phone call. Can I just take your dog for a walk?
Yeah, something.
We got to do something.
Something. So what do you do? Raise chickens, goats, donkeys? I don't know.
Right.
But what do we do? So we were fortunate enough. Local banks were pretty understanding. We qualified for a small PPP loan, which carried us through.
Yeah, that was actually a really good program. Mm-hmm. That obviously, I can think there are some people who it got abused. You read those headlines. It's going to happen no matter what. But what a great program they did get put in place. It helped many businesses during that time.
Think about what would have happened if it didn't happen.
Right. Mm-hmm. Close.
All small businesses would close.
Not even the business, the banks.
Yeah.
True. That's true.
They had to do something. You know what I mean? The bank. I mean, there's some businesses out there that probably own everything, mm-hmm. but you have young startup businesses that mortgaged everything they had to start it up, right. And who owns the mortgage? Banks do,
Right. No, that's true. I never looked at that outlet or that side of it, but totally.
Mm-hmm. And then the trickle down effect from there, So fortunate enough, we did qualify for it. It got us through for the better part of 2020, and then had some local sheriffs and police chiefs ask if I could acquire a canine for them and train their handler and their dog. And it started with 3. And we all got COVID in the middle of it. So we took a little 2-week hiatus in the middle of the first class. And then 21, we hit the ground running again. And it's just built from there.
Mm-hmm. So you had 3. I'm sorry, Victor, go ahead.
How did you learn to train dogs?
So we'll back up to 2007. I got selected. The sheriff, Martin Edwards here, asked if he kind of gave me a couple options. Do you want to go to the drug unit, or do you want a police dog? You're really hitting it hard with the drugs, and I like what you're doing. So what do you think? I thought about it. Yeah, it'd be pretty cool to get a police dog. So I went in December of 2007, January 2008, and got my first police dog. Okay. And then started there. And as the years kind of progressed, I thought, this is something that I really enjoy, and never in a million years thought it would lead into what it did. And then 2015, I got my second police dog. And at that point in time, I was like, okay, I think I could do more outside of law enforcement and just hit the ground, training everywhere, taking all my vacation time, comp time, holiday time, whatever. I would take off and just go watch people train dogs, train my dog, learn learn different techniques, and it just snowballed from there.
When you got your first dog, are they typically, and I'm probably going to say this wrong, I know a German Shepherd or a Malinois. Malinois? See, yeah. I knew I was going to say it wrong. It's called Malinois.
Malinois, yeah.
Yeah, those are beautiful dogs. They're athletic as all heck, man.
Yes.
And you see them scale walls and on videos and stuff, like they are.
So those are the only two dogs that the police train? Or what are the breeds?
There's various breeds. Okay. So just depending on the application and where you're going to utilize the dog, and then preference of the department or preference. We like to pair a dog with a handler. You might have a lot of people don't realize this, but working a dog is just not holding the leash and telling the dog to go do stuff. You have to put some input in here and there. So how we try to pair these teams up is we allow these new prospective handlers to work the dogs. We don't expect it to look good. It doesn't look good at all. It's horrible. Mm-hmm. But you get to see how that person interacts with that dog and how that dog interacts back with that person. So we can kind of judge, okay, this is going to work, because you might have a dog that's way too much for somebody that can't handle it. And what I mean by can't handle it, a lot of the training we do is with your voice and the inflection that you can use with your voice and the tone range that you can do. And are you able to give a firm correction with your voice? Are you able to use a high pitch with your voice to get that dog's attention, to direct him somewhere? Because these dogs genetically are predisposed to just be hunting animals, right? That's one of the things we look for, is how long that dog will hunt for something, a toy. How long will that dog hunt for a toy? And we want to see it extend out. So if they're out hunting for that toy, that reward for them, and they're having all the fun out here, and you want them to come back over here and search this spot, are they going to come back if they're having all the fun? If you're like, hey, come here. Mm-hmm. Or if you're like, hey, buddy, come over. Oh, hey, you want me to come over here? So that's the hardest thing in the training part of the new handlers, is getting them to use their voice inflections and their tone of their voice, and to get that dog's attention. So
okay.
I feel like being a parent would help with some of that.
It does. You have to talk. You have to talk to them like you're talking to a kid.
I say something to either of my kids, and I say it with that right tone. They both are like, yeah.
Yeah. One side or it's one side or the other. If you want to get their attention, you might be like, "Hey, come over here."
Yeah.
And then if they don't listen, then you have to escalate it up a little bit. Right. Hey, this is what I want you to do. Come back.
Yeah. So what are some other breeds that are typically, I know like you said, it could be a wide variety. I'm typically seeing the German Shepherd or the Malinois.
You have German Shepherds, Belgian Malinois, Labradors, German wire hair pointers, German short hair pointers, Vizslas, you name it. It just really depends on the dog and then the application for the dog. For instance, TSA, your airport security, they like to use, if they're going to be dealing with directly dealing with the public, they use what we call floppy-eared dogs. So your labs, the less aggressive-looking dogs, right? Okay. So they don't scare people. And then, most of your police departments utilize the German Shepherds or the Belgian Malinois. Then you have, some police agencies too. I only want a dog that can detect drug odor. So I don't want the aggressive looking dog. So we'll have a lab or a pointer, something like that.
European dogs are considered better than American dogs, or easier to train, or it has nothing to do?
It has nothing to do other than time. And what a lot of people don't realize is we import all of our, most 99.9% of our dogs come from Europe. But in Europe, these guys are spending hours with these puppies every day, and building them up to get to a year old to be able to sell to come over here. And, we tried our own breeding program. You might have 2 really nice dogs, male and a female. That doesn't mean that every puppy is going to be a good police dog. Out of a litter, you might only have 1, or maybe not even any. So now what do you do with these dogs that might be too active to go to a pet home, but not enough to go work as a working dog? And all that time that you spent from a puppy until 5-6 months, and now you're not doing anything with them but giving them away to a pet home. So
if you got 2 dogs, same breed, and and when they reach 1 year old, one is doing way better than the other one, do you think one is smarter than the other, or the person that trained them could be worse than the other? Is it more about the dog being smart, or more about who trains the dog and the way
Both.
It's trained?
Both.
50-50?
You can for instance, we had every once in a while we'll get a phone call from a pet home. Hey, I've got this dog that's too much for me. Can you take it and make it a working dog, a police dog? We had a lady, we went and picked up her dog a month ago. We'll test it. We'll test it and see what we could do. We try to help people out, as much as we can. And so we tested the dog, and it was one of those things. The dog was older, 3.5, 4 years old. If we had the opportunity to be with that dog at a younger age, I think we would have been able to get the dog going where we needed it to go. Because it's not only, there's so much that goes into it. The drive of the dog, so the hunt drive. We need the dogs to have really high hunt drive. We need the dogs to be confident. Confidence is the big one. Social is the other big one.
Is that natural from the dog? Sorry to interrupt you.
It is, but then it isn't. So if you could have a dog with the greatest lines and genetics, if you never introduce them to anything, they're going to be afraid of everything. You have to socialize. You have to go to stores. You have to introduce them to people. You have to introduce them to new environments, slick floors, stairs, all of these things that, just think about it. When we come in and do a search of a building, how many different things are they going to see just in here? Slick floor, people, different, different smells, different light conditions. Some dogs won't go into a dark place. You know what I mean? But for the applications that we need them to, we need them not to care. Right. And some dogs we can work through that, but again, it's always going to be there in the background, if that makes sense.
Yeah, confidence with the dog.
Confidence.
I never thought of that word in being important, but when you break it down that way,
confidence. I mean, they're going to be searching loud vehicles. They're going to be searching in airports. They're going to be. It's information overload for them.
For sure.
You know what I mean? And a lot of people don't realize that. They think, oh yeah, this dog is going to be able to do it, but and we're not putting them through any real strenuous tests. It's just, hey, can you walk into like Farm King and not freak out?
So that's the type of stuff you're doing in that first year?
That's the type of stuff that you should be doing in the first year. We get our dogs at about 1 year to 2 years old.
Okay.
So these people have already done that. They've already brought them in. They've already spent a year working with this dog, developing this dog, socializing this dog, taking him into new environments, doing everything. And quite frankly, we just don't have the time or the resources to do that.
Right. Yeah. No, that makes sense.
So
something I was thinking when you were talking, and we were talking about the breeds. If you remember old movies or really anything like Fugitive, the guys on the run, almost all the officers then had like the Basset Hound.
Bloodhounds.
Yeah. Yeah. Like,
they still do. I won't knock them,
that?
but it's the big floppy-eared dog with the...
They're supposedly really good at smelling and sensing, right? Like
Smelling people?
Yeah.
Their olfactory system, which is the system that's built in their nose that goes all over.
But how are those dogs trained? Do you need to have some type of sample to make the dog smell and be like?
Well, with them, isn't it tracking? Like that's where they're better at, is being able to. So they hit a scent on them. I don't even know why I'm talking. You're the professional.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I watched enough movies.
Go ahead. Yeah.
No, but like they'll hit have them smell a shirt or hit them with the track with the scent, and then they will follow it for the most part.
In the movies, yeah.
All right.
and I think there is.
So that was a Hollywood version.
That's not how we do it. I'm not. I've only had one bloodhound in my life, since I've had this kennel. Mark from Papa's I'm not going to bag on bloodhounds because he's got a bloodhound that we take care of all the time. But they're a great dog, and they again, I don't know much about the breed. What we rely on is the dog's olfactory system. It's that sensory system that's contained in their nose and in their head that they receive all this information from. If you actually do research on it, like their ability to detect things is unreal, and they're always finding out new things too. There's a new study out where they actually can sense infrared, if that makes any sense at all. Which I don't know how you would even go about learning how to even test for that. But
well, that's like when the people say that deer are colorblind. I always who did you?
Right? Yeah.
What deer told you that? What deer was like, I'm not seeing the orange.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, yellow. That's right.
Yeah.
I've always laughed at that. You got hunters out here in bright orange.
Yeah.
And the deer can't see you. Don't worry. I just find that.
Or they buy like the $1,000 camouflage. I'm like, I go out hunting in blue jeans and a pole.
How do you go about training dogs for drugs? Do they need to know the smell of drugs?
No.
How does even drugs that doesn't have smell? There are drugs that doesn't have any smell, right? And then dogs can detect. How can they do that?
All drugs have smells. Everything.
Yeah?
Everything has an odor.
Yeah.
Everything has an odor.
Okay.
Whether our nose catches it or not.
We don't know it, and that's a good technical term is I can't even say it right now. It's putting human values on a dog.
Okay.
Right? Anthropomorphic. Yeah, I'm tongue twisted, but you think, oh well, this for instance, cannabis is the strongest odor because we can smell it easier. No, it's not the strongest odor. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But how we take and train these dogs is we pair the odor with a toy. So you remember me talking about how we had them searching for the toys, and we want to see that dog hunt for that toy. We take that toy and we pair it with that drug odor.
You need to pair though. You
have to pair it.
Okay.
So basically, you have your drug odor next to your toy.
Okay.
Right, and then slowly, you take that toy away, and then they realize that.
Do you want me to find that smell?
That smell is associated with my toy, and whenever I smell that smell, I get my toy.
Right.
Does that make sense? And the same thing with food. You can use food, you can use toys. It doesn't matter. They associate that with a reward because dogs really only care for. They're only living for a few things: food, water, reproduction, and air. And if you give them all of that, the reproduction is through praise. You praise them, you love on them, you tell them good boy, they get excited, you feed them, and if you give them that one of those and pair it, then there you go.
What about for the general public, that has a dog at home? Like if I have my dog at home, if I want to train my dog, but the dog's not trained at all, what would be my first steps to train my dog to sit, roll, do things that
shake.
I want. Yeah,
Some
shake.
of the more common household stuff. Sure.
Again, you pair it with one of the 4 or 5 things I just said, and it's usually food or a toy.
Okay.
So, sit, good, food. Sit, good, toy. Does that make sense?
What about go get that guy?
That takes a special dog.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, one thing they say is this true too. Consistency is key too. You'll catch a lot of people. They'll say sit, and then the next time they're saying down.
And I'm horrible at it. I am horrible. I'm horrible at it. My wife will tell you. So, we let our dogs out to go run in the backyard. They're told to sit and stay at the door until the door's open, and then they're told to exit, right? Okay, that's the marker word for you can go outside. What do I do? After I train dogs all day, I get home, I let the dogs out, I open the door.
Right.
So what do they do when she goes to let the dogs out? Just, and then she yells at me because I haven't kept up with the reinforcement training, because it only takes one time. If you're not consistent with it, they're cheaters. Dogs are cheaters. They're, I'm gone, out the door. So literally 3 times a week, she's complaining about how I just let the dogs run out the door. And I'm like, yeah, okay, whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
But that goes in.
I'll do it next time twice.
But if you, but like you said, you do this all day. You know, it's like the house cleaner who cleans houses all day.
Or the mechanic
home, their house is dirty, the mechanic's car is broke.
Yeah.
You know, so it is, I feel like you should get a little hall pass.
Yeah, right.
Not that your wife cares.
Yeah.
But that makes total sense. You're like, man, it makes sense. So what type of dogs do you have at home? What's your
our house dogs are my hunting companions. They're German Wirehair pointers.
Those are like kind of thicker,
yeah,
right? Like a wiry, almost wire brush type, right?
Yes.
Is there some type of ranking, like the dogs that can find the most things, like the best dog in history, the best dog today? There's nothing like this?
No.
If you would choose a breed to be like, oh, I want to have this dog, I would choose the breed and I'll try to have the best dog possible for
what am
police.
I doing?
What breed would you choose to find drugs, let's say?
Oh, if you're just doing detection, it just depends on the dog.
Yeah.
It just depends on the dog. So if I was running a lot of detection, working at a busy airport, I'd want a little dog.
A little dog?
A little dog. Like a terrier. They're wild. And they have so much energy and they can hunt.
Oh, you're talking the ones that'll like go in they used to go in tunnels.
Yes.
What are those called? I'm sorry. Like a rat terrier or something.
There's a couple different breeds of them, but they are phenomenal.
And they are full wound for sound.
Yeah, and you could just work them with like your pinky finger because they're so small. You just have to hold like a little leash.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's one of my goals for this year is I want to bring in a terrier to put to work.
One of my goals for this year is to bring Victor out to your kennels and have him put that big suit on and just have him run. Can we do that?
Yeah.
Do you have one of the suits?
We could do without a suit. No. I'm joking.
So how often is there an accident there, like a dog eats someone's hand?
Not very often. It's
Elizabeth's laughing.
Eats their hand. You got a Band-Aid on your finger.
Not very often. It's a contact profession. It's like playing football. I heard I'll steal it from somebody. Horses kick, dogs bite, right? And 95% of the time that they're not, if you take a bite, it's not because the dog is aggressive. It's because you were in the wrong position. And that's a result of it. We wear that equipment sometimes, but we also wear very minimal equipment because we don't like our dogs to be fixated on that. Because if we're going to ask these dogs to go in and confront the devil sometimes in a dark place, in a crawl space, and they're in a fight for their life. These are serious crimes that we're sending these dogs into to handle the situation for us. And if we're always doing our training with these big suits on, the dogs typically get they rely on seeing that equipment. So we utilize more concealment, hidden equipment where it's just a small, basically sleeve we put on that covers your forearm up to your elbow, and then we put a hoodie on over that. And if you don't catch the dog in the right spot, you're gonna have some extra holes that you didn't start with.
Right.
So
if you get in front of a mean dog, that's the first time you see the dog, and you see that the dog is not liking you, what's the best thing you can do?
For me, or
Yes.
for
for a normal person,
Yeah,
for a
just
regular
every
person?
day.
don't run.
Yeah.
it kicks in. Dogs have prey drive. That's how they existed, right? So if you run, you're just like a rabbit. What's going to happen? They're going to chase you. I know it sounds weird, but stand your ground.
Okay.
Most dogs just want to challenge you, and then if you stand your ground, they're probably going to back up a little bit.
Similar to bears, right? I think.
Yeah. And you
Some
can back
people say
away,
that
you can back away, and one of the things that, people think, oh, the police dogs are aggressive, or the police dogs are mean, or the police dogs are they're not. I wouldn't have one if they were that way, because how are you going to work it? You're not going to be able to work it. There's you're going to, and you have to, even in today's day and age, you have to have a social animal that is controlled and is able to think clearly. A clear-headed dog. There's some out there that aren't, and it's it's a tough go.
So right now, Cedar Creek Kennels, you guys are helping out law enforcement, not just here in our area. So why don't you talk a little bit about? I mean, you're helping out folks in covering a pretty wide range. You're booked out into next year. I mean, why don't you talk a little bit about that?
So this year is a standout year for us, where we have police departments from all over the United States coming to us for training and for acquisition of their dogs. This class right now that graduates on Friday, we've got a deputy sheriff from Colorado. We have a police officer from Kansas. We have 4 other local agencies from the Peoria area, from the Kewanee area, that are here going through the program. We graduated class on Friday. We start another one up on Monday. So on Monday, we've got 4 agencies coming in from the Illinois. Yeah, I think most of them are in Illinois local agencies. And then in July, after that second class leaves, our third class starts up, and we've got a department coming from New York. We have other local-ish agencies from the state, maybe 5-6 hours away. Illinois is a big state. If you ever drove north to south, it sucks. It sure oh man, it's never ending. But and then we've got departments booked out all the way through our last class in October, and then we also have some contract awards with the federal government too, where we supply dogs to Customs and Border Patrol. So that's always an ongoing mission for us. It not only local, but we also bring in and train, not fully train. The Customs and Border Patrol contracts are green dogs, which means they have some training, but they want to finish that dog out. So we're constantly traveling, delivering dogs to Customs and Border Patrol.
So do you train the officers for them to train their dogs, or do you just train their dogs and the officers just
for
those they're
coming here?
Yeah,
we train the dogs and the officers.
Okay.
And the officers are the hardest ones to train.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, yes. I mean, especially I can only assume we all come from all different walks of life, different levels of experience, and you get someone who could be maybe a little stubborn, if you will, that's like, dude, I know how to do this, or I've already had a dog, or whatever.
The biggest thing is everybody learns differently.
True.
Everybody does. You might be a visual learner. You might need a book, And one of the things that we started doing is we make all of our handlers that come through our program, they have to take notes every day. So after they get done, we might train with their dog for 5 or 10 minutes, and then they're back on their notepads writing notes. Because for me, I did not like school. Pardon my teachers that are probably listening, but school wasn't a big thing for me. But when I did apply myself, I learned a lot through note taking, writing it down, and absorbing that information. So, the hardest thing is the dogs are easy, right? A plus B equals C. But the training the handlers, because everybody's so different, and that's one of the things that Dave and I, my partner, sit down and talk about, like how we need to find a new way to approach this guy.
Sure.
And we'll even ask him, like, hey, how do you learn? Because whatever we're saying isn't it's not sinking in. So how do we effectively teach you?
Well, and it's important to you. Good for you guys for realizing that, because I can only imagine it's only beneficial for you that 99.99 or 100% of people that leave Cedar Creek Kennels with their dog and handler, like they walk with a good team, you know?
Yeah, it's our name. It's
right.
It's our name. It's our livelihood.
Right. So you're not just dogs. You're not just training. You know, you're literally trying to put, like some jobs will have you find out if you're like an orange guy or a yellow guy.
Yeah.
You're really having to find personalities for not just a dog, but and a handler.
So we try to find that personality of that handler and also pair it with that personality of that dog too.
Right.
And then the thing that a lot of people don't realize is, but these guys, they're a part of our family. These handlers that are coming in, and these dogs are a part of our family. Mm-hmm. And I hate to see some dogs leave. You're always happy to see them go, but sometimes you're like, man, I spent a lot of time with that dog.
Right.
We spent hours training with you, and then now you're gone. And then, these police officers are coming in. We have 10 weeks. Our class is 10 weeks long, and we have 10 weeks to get them to where they can go out and work the street with their dog and be safe and be effective and provide for their community, give that service to their community. And, it's a dangerous world. And that's, we have a lot, we don't take it lightly. And one of the things we tell everybody when they come to our program, it's not an easy class. Mm-hmm. It's not an easy class because we're going to demand a lot from you, but we demand a lot from ourselves too. And you guys are going to be tasked when you leave here to perform duties that nobody else can. And that's a big responsibility to have. And we're responsible for teaching you that.
Matt, how much does having other dogs around help dog? I always, at least from what I would think, if having two dogs, like one dog being able to watch the other dog go do something and then get a reward, or does that help, or does it almost distract having too many dogs?
No, it just depends on what we're doing. So we will have dogs watch sometimes, but other times we don't. Again, it's just, it's again for the application. Some of the stuff the dogs are automatically going to watch because they're in the car and we might be doing something outside, where all the guys are parked so they can see that. But doing our detection work, the dogs are just with the handler, and then there's nobody else watching. Mm-hmm. But us.
Is there anything the dog's diet that's different from a regular dog?
No.
They just
good food.
Dog food,
just good dog
water?
food. Good dog food.
No steroids?
No.
No table scraps. So
No.
You're not giving them human food.
No. Just good dog food.
Is it bad to give human food?
No, I mean,
Rice
dogs
and beans?
live that way. Look at farm.
Rice and beans.
Yeah, rice and
That's
beans.
what you're giving your dog? It's rice and beans?
No, but what about if we give some chicken, some meat? Is that very bad
Pork
for
is not
dogs?
good. Pork
Okay.
is not good for dogs.
Okay. What is good for dogs besides dog food?
Chicken,
Okay.
steak,
Are
Okay.
you supposed to
Vegetables?
let dogs chew on the bones?
vegetables.
Why are you laughing at me, man? I don't even
I don't know. Now you're getting into vet stuff. I know.
Right,
Yeah,
no,
I'm
I always hear people say you're not supposed to let them chew on bones. But yeah, you probably are. We're getting
Yeah, I don't.
It depends on the bone.
Yeah, not pork. We just learned
I
that.
look at it as a liability. Like, I'm only going to put things around this dog that I can control, like food.
Right.
So I know that this food is this. I don't give them any bones or anything like that because I don't want to have the liability of a dog choking on a bone or
right.
cutting an intestine open or, naturally the dogs are going to be able to do it anyway because they are wolves, right? And so
How much can a dog be worth? Like how much money? Like the very good one. Are we talking about $100,000 or that would be too
there's
much?
people out there that'll buy them for that.
Yeah.
But your typical police dog is going to run $10,000 to $15,000
Okay.
per dog.
And it takes about 1 year to train them. I mean,
No,
for them, 1 year of age.
You want them around a year old anyway because they're starting the maturity is there. Mm-hmm. Some dogs mature quicker than others, but you might if you start doing stuff with a dog with our application younger than a year, they might not the maturity level might not be there at a year. So we look for that. What's that dog like at a year old? How mature are they? How confident are they? How controlled are they? And go from there.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, what do you see yourself? I know you have been working with law enforcement programs throughout not only our area but now in other states. You have the opportunity to help with some border control in what do you say, airports or whatnot.
So we have sold some dogs to the federal government, like TSA. I think we sold them a dog a couple of years ago.
Do you see the military in your future?
We started selling to the military through a third party.
Okay.
They have contracts with the military, and I've been selling dogs to those guys for the last 2 years.
Good for you guys.
So
man.
yeah,
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was kind of a humbling that we got the phone call, and that also, so selling dogs to this company also opened doors for other things too. Mm-hmm. That was pretty cool. Yeah. And it was humbling when, last summer we had the best of the best that were here to look at our dogs.
Right.
That's good.
And it just took me, I was blown away. Guys that we can't even talk about who they are or where they're from or what they're doing are showing up here to, hey,
that's awesome.
So
good for you guys.
Yeah, and we didn't make a sale at that time. I knew, when they were here, I didn't really have anything that they were looking for, but they heard about us and they wanted to see what we were doing. Good. So, and we've maintained contact and we're still working with them now. But it's very humbling. It's very humbling, and
you guys should be extremely proud of yourselves, especially you bought it August of 2019.
Yeah.
And then 6 months later, this COVID pandemic hits where everyone is, and man, being able to make it through that.
Yeah.
And then not only just get back going, but then take off growing. And you guys should be incredibly proud of yourselves for that. I mean, there's always a little luck and stuff. But it takes hard work. You guys are putting in a tremendous amount of hard work. We were talking earlier about, everyone just sees the good stuff going on.
Yeah,
they
right.
don't see your finger getting bit, or they don't see it grinding at 6 a.m. and 10 at night.
We start our day early. We have kids just like everybody else, so we got to take care of the kids. Got to take care of the dogs. The dogs come first to us. So, I don't eat breakfast until after we get dog chores done. I'll be doing dog chores. My wife will be taking kids to school, getting that stuff ready, and then I'm loading dogs up to start training. Like yesterday, for example, we trained dogs from 7 in the morning until noon. And then I left to drive to Chicago, drove to Chicago to O'Hare Airport, picked up 5 dogs from O'Hare Airport that I imported, drove back, and got home at, 7:30, 8 o'clock, then sat down at the computer, started sending invoices out, emails, responding to, this. And Dave has my partner, that guy's incredible. He'll sit down at a computer and he will email every department in one state. And he'll call me, hey, mate, Iowa's done. Hey, mate, I got Nebraska done, and it just doesn't stop with the end of the day. It doesn't stop with that. Heck, one night I couldn't sleep and I had an email popped up on my phone. It was like 3 o'clock in the morning. And I'm emailing this department back because the guy's working third shift, and he was blown away. I can't believe you responded to me. I was like, you caught me on a night I can't sleep. So here we go. We're talking dogs at 3 o'clock in the morning, through the email, and hey, call me tomorrow, and we can discuss it on the phone. Because if I'm too loud, my wife's gonna start getting angry with me. But,
hey, money doesn't sleep.
And it's not. Yeah, and that's It's not even the money. It you almost get into this like addiction. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, hey, we're man, it's going. Let's do it. Let's go to the next one. Let's get the next one. And but again, like we talked earlier, you can go from the highest of highs to the lowest of lows in a phone call. Right. You know what I mean? Or a pandemic. Anything. Yeah. It's not all flowers and rainbows sunshine and rainbows. There's a lot of low sides too, and you just for whatever reason, things happen for a reason. My grandma always used to say, things happen for a reason. Mm-hmm. And if you just believe, you know, there's going to be bad times, but you got to believe, and you got to believe in yourself and believe in what, you know, whatever you're doing, and the good things will happen. And if you're a good person and you put yourself out there, I think it comes back.
That's cool.
You might not know when, because
Right.
I ask myself too sometimes. I'm like, I wonder when this is going to come back. I want, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like, when is it going to come back? But it does, and it might be just little things that come back, you know.
Yeah.
But that's one of the big takeaways of life, I guess. So.
Well, Matt, keep grinding, man. I'm excited. We'll have to have your business partner from Australia.
I'll do some translating for him when he comes back.
Yeah,
So.
but we'd love to have him come on and tell his story and kind of share as well. I know he's got quite an interesting journey, and you guys partnered up and have been at it ever since. So best of luck to you guys. Yeah. Keep grinding, man. It's been a pleasure.
I appreciate it.
It's
Yeah.
been an absolute
Thank you very
pleasure.
much for coming.
Yeah, brother.
Yeah. So Matt Greenlief with Cedar Creek Kennels. I imagine you can check them out. Just putting that in Google, it'll probably bring up.
Yeah. Google works. So we're on social media. I think we're on every platform. I'm not a big social media guy, but it's what drives us. It's you have to do it. So,
Yeah, especially if you want to reach outside of here.
Yeah.
It's important. So man, best of luck.
Yes, sir.
Keep grinding, dude.
All right, thanks.
All right. You guys, thanks for your support as well with the Talk About It podcast. I'm Lauren Fulmer. Do us a big favor and hit subscribe, and we'll keep getting you episodes out each week as you continue to listen.
See you guys next week.
Right. See ya. Thank you for watching this episode of the Talk About It podcast.
I'm Victor Dantas.
I'm Lauren Fulmer.
And we would encourage you guys to subscribe to the channel. And don't forget to hit the bell. It's going to be right below the video. So you
Hit
guys,
the bell.
so you know when the next episode is up. All
We
right?
appreciate all the support.
Thank you.